At the start of every wipe, you always make the same mistake. You really think you'll get further by doing the same thing over and over again, hitting barrels, recycling components, researching basic blueprints, and so on. But the real source of wealth, the one that can bring in up to 10,000 scrap per hour, is right here, and you ignore it every single wipe. Right at the beginning, you always need scrap for early crafts, setting up your first workbench, researching a double barrel shotgun, and so on. But you're farming it with outdated methods. Not only can you get killed while you're out looting, but on a high pop server, you're not even farming. You're just picking over the scraps left by the clans. The competition is brutal. So after a few hours into a global wipe, you're still running around with a revolver and wooden armor. But today, I'm going to show you a method that consistently gives you more scrap than any monument ever could. My method doesn't require raids, guns, or even leaving your base. It's not a bug, it's not a cheat, it might just be a design oversight. And today, I'll teach you how to use it to your advantage. Let's first figure out how much scrap you can get from some of the more popular monuments. Specifically the ones everyone rushes to at the very start of a wipe. This way, you'll really feel the difference. We'll be testing this on an empty server where nothing and no one will interfere. If no one looted the gas station before you, the max you'll find there is 3 military crates and 4 wooden crates. You can also hit the trash boxes nearby, which give around 8 scrap each. After fully recycling everything, you'll get an average of about 250 scrap, and it'll take around 3 to 4 minutes. Now Junkyard, my previous favorite, is way better. You'll find 9 wooden crates, plus a bunch of barrels and old cars that can also be recycled. After recycling all the components, you'll get around 300 scrap, and from the old cars another 700 scrap. That's a total of around 1000 scrap in 10 to 13 minutes. Satellite dishes, including all barrels, crates, and a quick green card run, will average 300 scrap in about 5 to 6 minutes. The airfield is considered a large monument, and to loot all the towers, the red card room, and the main building, you'll need around 15 minutes, and you'll come out with roughly 800 scrap. Oil rig is everyone's favorite. You probably already know where every crate and every bot is. Clearing it fully, including the locked crate bots, will take around 25 minutes and will give you about 1500 scrap after recycling. And finally, the launch site. To fully loot it, you'll need almost an entire in-game day plus a green and red keycard. Don't forget about the tank either, it'll definitely be in your way. After around 30 minutes and recycling everything you picked up, you'll also walk away with roughly 1500 scrap. And again, this is all assuming you're on a completely empty server where nothing is stopping you. Let's be honest, if you tried to fully loot launch on a server full of players, you'd probably end up like this. But the method I'm about to show you can get you up to 10,000 scrap per hour, and if you're playing as a duo, you can easily double that. Yeah, it's that fishing, that exact moment where you almost close the video thinking, ugh, a fishing rod? Boring. But now, listen closely. This isn't farming for the sake of farming. This is a scrap machine. Your line can't snap, no matter what. Trash doesn't even have a chance to bite. There's literally zero room for error. This is the only method in Rust where you can just stand inside your base without stepping outside and still end up as the richest player on the map. And if you're playing as a duo, well, you can imagine the rest. Later in this video, you'll see how I go from 0 to tier 3 workbench in record time on a regular server, using nothing but this strategy. But first, let's break down how this method actually works. Even if you think you already know everything about fishing, trust me, you're gonna want to see this. Some parts might genuinely surprise you. There are 2 types of water on the map, and each has its own fish, freshwater and saltwater. To check which one you're standing near, just walk up to it and try drinking with the E-key. If it's saltwater, you won't be able to drink it. But if it's freshwater, you'll see a little water cup icon pop up, which means you can drink it. In saltwater, you'll catch small sharks, delicious salmon, and small trout. In freshwater, you can fish up catfish, salmon, and yellow perch. Now, veteran players might say it's better to fish in the ocean because that's where you can catch small sharks, and they sell for the highest price. But I totally disagree. The most profitable fishing is actually in freshwater rivers, and I'll explain why in just a bit. Next up, you'll need a fishing rod. No need to research it at a workbench, it's available by default. You can either get one from a fishing village or from this NPC fisherman. Just agree to everything he says and complete his little fetch quest. Or you can just craft it yourself if you have 2 rope and 200 wood. To fish, you need bait, but not just any bait, you need specific bait. Almost every food in the game has something called a fish bait value. Some items have a bait value of 1, like pumpkins, some have 3, and some have 10, like wolf meat. If you try fishing with weak bait, bait 1, the best you'll pull up is buckets, human skulls, or anchovies. Pretty much garbage. But if you fish using high-tier bait, like wolf meat with a bait value of 10, you're guaranteed to get a top-tier fish, ready to sell right away for scrap. Top-tier bait includes all meat from wolves and bears, as well as animals from the new jungle biome. That means meat from crocodiles, tigers, panthers, and snakes also works perfectly, because their bait value is 10 too. I'm sure after this video you'll never look at those animals the same again. So now you've got your bait, you've got your rod, what's next? If you want, you can start your wild snowball run right here from the fishing village pier. And all the riches you catch can be sold right nearby at a special fishing vendor. But personally, I usually don't sell there. Remember how I said river fishing is more OP? Let me explain why I think so. Ever since the jungle biome was added, rivers across the map became super long and winding, and they almost always flow very close to a safe zone. And guess what's inside a safe zone? A drone station, and that's where you can instantly trade your fish with any fishing village on the map. If a certain fishing village's prices drop because you've been selling there too much, no problem, just sell your fish to another village with better prices, without cooldown. Plus, right there in the safe zone, you can instantly use your scrap to buy a ton of metal frag and wood, which means you can start building a strong base without even placing down small furnaces in your starter base. But the fact that peaceful cities are only 1 to 2 grid squares away from the river, that's not the only reason why this fishing method is so great. Rivers have a current, and that current usually flows toward the ocean. So if you kill a naked on the riverbank, their body will instantly start drifting away. Nothing you can do about it. And that kind of makes things harder, because it's tough to find the stuff they drop once it's floating in the water. But now here's the trick. If you cast your fishing line into the river, you'll see the bobber also gets pulled by the current moving slowly toward the sea. That means if you cast against the current, the bobber will slowly float toward you, which opens up an incredible farming trick. Let me show you the kind of fishing farm you can build with this. When you find a river, the first thing you need to do is figure out which way the current is flowing. That's super important. Do it right away and don't forget. Next, wade into the water so your eyes are level with the surface, like I'm doing here. This makes it easy to place your first foundation correctly. Place it in a way that the water doesn't interfere with placing anything on top of it. Now, place your double door so that when you open it, the current flows toward you. The inside of this starter cube you can design however you like, whatever's most comfortable for you. You'll be fishing from this side. Start by placing 2 square foundations, then surround them with triangle foundations along the edge. Upgrade those to stone. After that, place full walls around it and install a double door facing the shore so you can exit easily. Once everything is upgraded and the door is in, you can remove the central twig foundations, and just like that, you've built yourself a fish farm. Later, when you don't need the fish farm anymore, you can just fill in the space with 2 square foundations and upgrade. Now I'm adding some light for convenience, and let's test if everything works smoothly. I'm not going to fast forward this so you can see exactly how quickly the fish bite. Notice I'm doing nothing and the bobber floats right back to me. That's why this works so well. The current does the work and it makes fishing really fast. I just caught 50 scrap worth of fish right before your eyes. Maybe I got lucky with the first bite. Let's try again. By the way, if you need a blue card, you can gut your fish. There's a small chance it drops one. So yeah, this is your simple fish farm, and it lets you fish safely and easily, whether you're solo or with your favorite teammate. Now let me show you my super fast wipe run, where I use nothing but this method to place a tier 3 workbench in record time. And now I want to tell you about my new private base. And yes, you can even set up a fishing farm inside if you want. This brand new private base is already available on my Patreon. It starts from the most classic 2x1 starter and includes 2 new multi-TCs, each protected for 15 rockets, replacing the old patched ones, plus 7 full bunkers to hide absolutely all your valuable loot. And for just $7.50, you'll get access to this base, plus all the other private content I post there. That's already at least 34 private base designs for every taste. Link to my Patreon is in the description. Subscribe now, you won't regret it. Now, using my tactic, I'm going to try placing a tier 3 workbench as fast as possible. I'll be playing on a fresh monthly wipe server, Rust Room Monthly. I actually played there at the start of this wipe too. The moment I woke up on the beach, I immediately opened the map. There's a safe zone city right in the center, and luckily there's a river flowing nearby, which is exactly what I need. So there's a good chance this might actually work. Right away, I found a strong and friendly horse who will help me on my little journey. While heading toward the safe zone, I needed to loot just enough to get some starting scrap for a few things I plan to buy once I get there. And almost immediately I got lucky. I found an ice pick. That means I can smash barrels quickly along the road and even farmed some stone along the way. I'll definitely need it later to build my fish farm. I ended up gathering even more stone than I needed because once I reach the safe zone, I can trade that stone for wood. That'll save me the time of farming wood and let me build my fish farm much faster. I wouldn't say the journey was easy. Everything was surrounded by tall external walls, but I still managed to break a few more barrels on the way, destroyed a log pile, and I was almost at my destination. The whole run from beach to outpost took me 17 minutes. I'll show all the timings through the Steam overlay just so it's easier for you to follow. First, I needed scrap, so I recycled all the junk I picked up along the way. Unfortunately, I didn't get lucky with components. I still had no rope to craft my fishing rods, so the first thing I did was put on my stylish cloth wraps, and then I bought tactical gloves for 20 scrap. Why? Because when you recycle those gloves, you get sewing kits, and sewing kits turn into rope when recycled again. Perfect, that gave me enough for 3 fishing rods, though realistically 2 will be enough for my tier 3. Now it was time to trade my stone for wood. I bought 3,000 wood, which is more than enough. I also bought metal fragments to craft metal doors. Then I just needed to find the right spot for my fish farm. I already knew I wanted to build by a river, so this step was simple. Remember the guide where I showed you the exact height needed for the first foundation? As you can see, I'm doing everything exactly the same. In the end, I quickly upgraded my starter cube, installed the double doors, placed the tool cupboard, and locked everything with solo locks. Now it's time to create the exact spot where I'll be standing and fishing. Right across the river, I immediately spotted 2 big, fluffy, meaty bears. I'll definitely have a little chat with them later. But for now, I need to finish setting up my future OP fishing spot. I got everything built quickly and without any issues. And there's really no point in showing you something I already showed you 5 minutes ago. So yeah, I've got my fishing spot ready. Now it's time to go get some meat. I successfully hunted down those 2 bears across the river, and the meat I got from them is more than enough to fully load up 2 fishing rods. I throw in the meat and get ready for the snowball to begin. For reference, it's been 25 minutes since the start of my wipe. Now let me teach those of you who don't know how to fish properly. Once you load your rod with meat, take it in your hands and cast it as far as possible from yourself. You pull the fish toward you using the S key. If the rod starts shaking hard, it means the line is about to snap and you need to stop holding S. Once the rod calms down a bit, you can keep pulling. A very important tip, I crafted 2 rods. That's because after you catch a fish, there's a really long animation of removing it from the hook. As you can see, I can't cast the rod again immediately. So to skip that animation, you just switch to the second rod and cast it right away. Let me show you how much faster that makes things. You'll be surprised. Look, I just caught a fish and instantly threw in the next bobber. This way you'll snowball way faster. Also notice how the bobber floats right back toward you, and halfway through the fish bites and starts resisting. That's because we built this base on the river's current and the river is helping us fish. In the end, look how much fish I've already caught. If you check, in 13 minutes we used up almost all the meat we had. So now let's run to the outpost and see how much scrap we ended up with. I ran over to the drone station and used it to sell the fish at the nearest fishing village. Since I'm sending 2 types of fish, I lost about 40 scrap on delivery. But still, in just 15 minutes of fishing, I earned around 1,500 scrap. Not bad at all, right? Especially starting completely from scratch and with no blueprints. Now that I'm back in the safe zone, I need to buy some 16x scopes. I'm going to recycle them to get HQM. And thanks to that, I can just buy metal in the outpost store and craft a tier 2 workbench right here. I don't have enough yet for tier 3, but I can already place tier 2 at my base. And that's exactly what I did. Now I needed to find another bear to keep fishing since I had completely run out of meat. Luckily that wasn't a problem, but I did end up finding a juicy bear only at night. I kept fishing all through the night, and as soon as I ran out of meat again, I sprinted straight back to the outpost. I really wanted to finish this challenge, placing a tier 3 workbench as fast as possible. I got back to the drone station and sold off everything I had on me. I also grabbed all the remaining scrap I had stored at my base so I could buy more 16x scopes since I'd need 100 HQM for the tier 3. I recycled the scopes right away, picked up my scrap from the drone station, and now I had more than enough to craft the workbench. With the leftover scrap, I even decided to buy more metal so I could upgrade my fishing shack to full metal. After that, I ran back home. The moment I arrived, I started crafting the tier 3 workbench, and while it was crafting, I took some time to upgrade my base. case, since I still had some extra metal lying around. Some people might say I recorded this at the end of the wipe when shop prices are super cheap, and yeah, maybe that's true, but even if I had done this with the worst possible prices, my costs would have doubled at most and the time spent would double too. Still doable. But I'm showing you everything exactly how it happened, and if you look at the Steam overlay, you'll see I was able to place the tier 3 workbench in just 72 minutes. And I honestly wasted a bunch of time, so it could have been done in 40 minutes flat. That means even with bad prices, you could get this done in around 90 minutes. So that's a fun little strategy I sometimes use. And since I got everything so easily today, I didn't feel attached to it. I just despawned it all. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. And huge thanks to all my Patreon supporters. You make it possible for me to keep doing what I love. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Good luck out there!